One of my devotionals today had this prophecy from Isaiah chapter 11. And the verses there say, "And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. Righteousness shall be the belt of his waist, and faithfulness the belt of his loins." It describes that Jesus is someone whom the Spirit of God would rest upon. The Spirit of God would be in him, would be with him. And that Spirit would give him wisdom and understanding. That he would know God's expectations, that he would know God's wills, and he would understand exactly what God wanted him to do. It says he would have counsel. He would be able to tell others what to do, that he would have might. And that doesn't just mean that he would be strong and be able to do great things. I believe it means that he would be able to do the things that he knew that God wanted him to do. And it says that he has knowledge. He knew God's ways. He knew God's words. He knew God's laws. He had the fear of the Lord. He respected God. He didn't just respect that God was God. That follows this list of wisdom and understanding and knowledge and counsel and the might to do this. He respected that God had a way that he wanted him to live. That God had an expectation of what Jesus' life would look like. And then in verse 5, when it says that righteousness is his belt, faithfulness girds his loins, it's saying that Jesus didn't just know what God wanted and didn't just know how God wanted him to live. He actually did it. He was righteous. He lived this life the way God expected and designed us to live this life. And so it's not that Jesus just did the right things. He showed us how to do the right things. He showed us that he, because of how the Spirit of God was in him and on him, in speaking through him, he knew what God's will was. He knew God's laws. He knew God's ways. And he had the strength to follow through and do it. We've talked throughout this about how we are people who live in darkness. And so we have this history of sin, of rebellion. We all have things in our lives that are not what would God want us to do. We probably all have things right now that, if we're honest with ourselves, we know are not things that God would want from us. They are not righteousness and faithfulness to his ways. So in this season, we don't just know that God has come and that God is with us. And it isn't just about God bringing us things and God giving us salvation and God giving us hope and love and joy and peace and all the things that we celebrate and all the things that are true. Jesus came to show us how to live. Jesus came understanding exactly what God wanted of humanity. So Jesus became a human to show us that we have the strength to live a righteous life. It's not enough for us just to know Jesus and to know who he is and to know what he came to do. We have to see how he lived, what he did, and from that, we should gain an understanding. We should gain wisdom. We should gain knowledge of God's wills in God's way, so that we can be more righteous, because the Spirit of God is on us. The Spirit of God now lives in our hearts. The Spirit of God now shows us and teaches us exactly what it is that God wants and gives us the might to do what is righteous in God's eyes. May Jesus' coming not just be an inspiration for all that God wants to give you. May it be an inspiration of who God wants you to be, how God wants you to live. And may righteousness be the belts that hold you together. May you understand his ways, and may you have the strength to live in them.